Hello friends, welcome to our channel. Once upon a time, there was a beautiful princess named Europa. She was the daughter of the king and queen of Phoenicia. One day, while she was bathing in a nearby river, she saw an extremely handsome young man on the other bank. The man was none other than the god Apollo. He was so captivated by her beauty that he decided to make her his wife. But there was one big problem. Apollo was already married to a woman named Daphne, so he couldn't just approach Europa and ask her to marry him. He needed a clever plan to win her over. Now, Apollo was known for his many affairs with both gods and mortals, so he wasn't going to let a little thing like marriage get in his way. So Apollo went to see his friend Zeus and told him about his infatuation with Europa. Zeus was happy to help out his buddy and came up with a plan. He would disguise himself as a white bull and kidnap Europa and take her to his palace on Mount Olympus. Apollo was ecstatic and thanked Zeus profusely, and so the plan was set in motion. The next day, Apollo went back to the river where he had first seen Europa. He wanted to surprise her and make her fall in love with him. But when he arrived, he saw that she was already there with her girlfriends, all admiring their own reflections in the water. Apollo knew that he had to do something drastic to get her attention. So he took off his clothes and threw them into the bushes. Then he jumped into the river and pretended to be a scared little lamb. The girls screamed and scattered as the lamb came towards them, except for Europa, who found it all very amusing. She laughed at the silly lamb and thought it was the funniest thing ever. But then something unexpected happened. The lamb stopped in front of her and looked up at her with pleading eyes. Then it started to shake its head and body in a strange way. At first, Europa was confused, but then she realized that the lamb was trying to tell her something. It wanted her to follow it. Curiosity piqued, Europa followed the lamb out of the river and into the forest. She had no idea where they were going, but she trusted the animal and continued to follow it deeper and deeper into the trees. After what seemed like hours, they finally emerged into a clearing. And there in front of them was a magnificent palace made of gold and marble. Europa was stunned. She had never seen anything like it before. The lamb bleated one last time before disappearing, and she turned to go back the way she had come, only to find that the forest had vanished. In fact, she was now in a completely different place. Just then, a group of nymphs came running out of the palace. They had seen Europa enter the clearing and were eager to welcome her. They explained to her that this was the home of the gods, and they invited her to come inside and meet them. Of course, Europa had no idea that she had just been tricked by the god Apollo and Zeus. She thought she had stumbled upon a magical place and was excited to explore it further. As she entered the palace, she saw the most beautiful gardens she had ever seen in her life. There were flowers and plants from every corner of the world, and the air was filled with the sound of birds singing and the tinkling of fountains. She wandered through the gardens for a while, taking in the sights and sounds, before finally being called inside to meet the gods. When they finally sat down together, Zeus, who was disguised as a king, told Europa that he was honored to have her in his palace and asked her if there was anything she wanted. Could have anything in the world, he said. And so, Zeus gave her everything she desired. She lived in the palace on Olympus and had everything she could possibly want. But after a while, she began to feel lonely. She missed her family and friends back in Phoenicia, and she wished she could go back home. When Zeus heard that she was sad, he went to her and asked what was wrong. She told him that she missed her family and wanted to return home. Zeus was happy to grant her wish, and he sent her back to Phoenicia with a group of nymphs to escort her home. As Europa was leaving, she turned to look back at the palace. But as she did, she saw the god Apollo standing on the steps leading up to the entrance. He had been watching her the entire time, and now he was smiling at her. Europa blushed and looked away. She had never realized before how handsome Apollo was, and she couldn't help but feel a little bit sad that she was leaving him behind. However, she knew that she had to go home, and so she waved goodbye to Apollo and disappeared behind the clouds. And that, my friends, is the story of how Zeus and Apollo kidnapped the beautiful princess Europa and took her to their palace on Mount Olympus. If you liked this story, please leave us a comment and we will be sure to reply. Also, don't forget to subscribe for more amazing stories. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.